Okay, in this last tutorial on XHTML, I'm going to finish up a few items on the web page that I'm developing, and then I'm also going to validate the web page and then show you how to publish it to the under your web account on the web server. So let's start off by changing a couple of things. I wanted to show you that when I open the browser window to its full size, a couple of issues are occurring here. One is the background image is being tiled, meaning that the image starts over again right here. You can see the threshold where it starts over again when the image and its pixel width are not wide enough to fill the screen of the browser. You don't notice it so much when I shrink down the size of the browser window, but when I set it to its full size, you can see the tiling. So I'm going to fix that by changing the size of the background image to cover the whatever size of the browser window is. And the second thing is, notice that the heading, my favorite fruit, is no longer visible because, again, the background colors, which were a little more on the yellow side when I shrink the window, are now fully in the blue section, so they're hard to read. So we're going to change the color of the text of the header, of the heading. So let's start with the background image first. So I'm going to the body tag, and inside the style attribute, I already have a property for setting the body image to be the bg underscore image.gif file that I've downloaded from Blackboard. What I want to do is add another property, so I use a semicolon to delineate between properties, and then I'm going to type in background hyphen size, and then use the colon and set it to cover. Cover is the setting that we want in order for it to cover the whatever size of browser window we might have. It'll fill the screen with the image. And then the second thing I want to do is go back to the heading, and inside the opening tag, the H1 tag, I want to set a style attribute equal to quote quote, and then inside the quotes I'm going to put in color colon, and when you use just the word color and not background hyphen color, you're going to get the text. So we're going to do color, and then I'll do, cyan is a good color. It should match up for both the yellow and the blue. And of course I could experiment with this, but you'll get the idea. Go ahead and save this, and I'm going to refresh my browser now, and I'm going to also set the window to its maximum, and you can see now that there's no longer any tiling happening, and we have the image that fills the entire window, and my back and the color of my heading is such that it matches up with the colors of my background. Okay, so that's pretty much it with the demonstration of the web page development. Again, this web page was index.html. Next, what I want to do is go about validating the image or the index.html file, and then once I've done that, I will go through the steps for setting up the publishing of the file on my web page. Okay, so first step is I'm going to go back to my desktop, and this is the file that we've been working on, the image.html file, and the process of validation ensures that the file will run on all of the major web browsers, whether you're talking about Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Safari, whatever major browsers are out there. So I could go ahead and publish index.html right now, but I'm not assured of the validation of the code to run on all of the major browsers. So that's basically the process that we want to complete. So I'm going to go to my Firefox browser, and I'm going to set my URL to go to Blackboard. Go to our course, and under course content for chapter 4, I'm going to find a couple of links that are going to be useful. The first one is validation tags that we need to add to our HTML in order for the validation service to be able to do its job. We'll actually come back and add these after we try to validate, so you can see what happens if you don't have these tags. So I'm going to go to the validation service. This is the link to the validation service. And the next step is to determine which method we're going to use to validate. We're going to validate by upload. So I hit the tab for that. And then I have to browse to where on my computer the file I wish to validate is located. So I'm clicking on Browse. In my case, it's on the desktop. And I'm looking for index.html. Here it is. I'll open that. And then I'm going to check it. And it comes back and it says the document was tentatively checked as XHTML 1.0 transitional. And there are 3 warnings, and again, it's tentatively passed. So the next thing is to see down below what errors, if any, occurred. In this case, there were no errors, but just rather warnings. If I had had any errors, then I need to read the errors here and determine what I've done wrong in terms of not having valid XHTML code. In this case, I have basically 2 errors. The first one is that I have no fallback for my character encoding. Basically, you have to give some sort of a character encoding fallback position for all different browsers that your characters, your text characters, may need to be displayed on. And so I don't have that piece of code. I'm going to set that up. And then the second piece of code that's missing is there's no doc type found. And again, it did a default for this of XHTML 1.0 transitional document type. We actually want to increase the standard for validation here. We actually want a strict validation so that we know for sure that it will run on all of the major web browsers. So I'm going to basically go about fixing these problems by going back to Blackboard, and validation tags that I've posted on Blackboard are in this text file. I'll just open the text file, and there are basically 2 tags. The first tag is the document type, and it extends 2 lines. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and then I'm going to go and return to Notepad, and in Notepad I want to paste this document type tag above my HTML tag, so it's above the first line. So I'm going to the first line, enter to get a blank line above, and then I'll paste. Okay, and that will now define the document type, and in this case it'll be doing a strict document validation. And then I want to go back and get the second line of code from the text file, and this gives the encoding scheme. Now In this example, I want to put this into the head area of my document, my HTML document. So I'll put it right under the title. And again, this provides an encoding scheme so that for all browsers there's a fallback to a particular Unicode encoding scheme. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this and go back now to the validation service. And I basically want to revalidate. There's a button down at the bottom that says revalidate. And it resets the window so that I can upload the file one more time. Index is the file we're checking, and when we check it this time, oh, now we have an error. So when we increase the level of validation from transitional to strict, under strict there's actually an error with the code that I've created. So now I'm going to slide down to see what the error was, and it says you have used the element named above in your document, but the document type you are using does not define an element of that type. So it's talking about the center tag. So the center tag is a deprecated tag, meaning it's not supported by all browsers going forward. So it's an older tag that doesn't support or is not supported by all browsers. So what I need to do is go back to my HTML, and I need to change the way in which I'm centering the content of the web page and get rid of the center tag, because that is not a tag that will always work for all browsers. So I'm going to remove this tag and the ending tag. And then what I want to do is I want to change the way in which I'm centering the information. So I want to change in the style attribute of the H1 tag. I'm going inside and I'm going to put in text align, text hyphen align, center, semicolon, because it is a different property from color. And then I also have to do the same thing in the table, except that in the table what I'm going to use is I'm going to use margin colon auto and semicolon to separate this property from the other properties already set in the style attribute. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now I want to check to make sure that it still works the way it was before. Okay, so there is my web page with my changes made, and of course all I did was I changed the way in which I'm centering the information on the screen. And now I can go back and revalidate one more time. My index.html file. Okay, this time it comes back that the document was successfully checked as XHTML 1.0 strict. Now this ensures that this file, this HTML file, will render the same way and correctly on all known web browsers, and that's what the validation service does for us. In addition, if you want to, at the bottom it says that to show your readers that you have taken the care to create an interoperable web page, you may display this icon on your page that validates that it is validated, and then it allows you to just simply copy this code and then you can paste it wherever you want in your web page. So I won't bother with doing that right now, but it is something you can do after you've done the validation. Okay, so we've done the validation. We know that our web page is going to work on all known browsers. Now what we need to do is get the content of the web page uploaded and then published to our web server. So the first step to do this is basically we need to go to the home pages gallery, and I actually don't have a link for that just yet on Blackboard, so let me pause this, set up the link so that I will have it on Blackboard for you. Okay, so I have set up the home pages gallery link on Blackboard. So when you click on that link, it'll take you right to the home pages. The URL is homepagegallery.umflint.edu. What this does is it allows me to basically find anybody's web page simply by typing in their either first or last name. Usually last name is going to find it the quickest. So if I type in McBride, you can see my web page pops up right here. And there is an example of homework number 6, and it's completed, and it shows the XHTML validation logo that shows that I validated this. And of course, I've already shown you the building of most of this type of a web page right here. What I want to do now, though, is go back and show you a student who has not published before on Blackboard. So I'll go ahead and close this. And it's actually my daughter, and hers is not showing up on this list as I type in McBride. Her name is Megan, and she's not showing up on this list because she is not listed yet. So she can't display her web page if she had one. So what I want to do is I'm going to go to the Get Listed link, and then I have to log in as her. And then I need to fill this information out. And you don't have to put in computer science. Obviously, it's whatever you want to put in as your major. The home directory is where we're going to host our web page. Now I'll explain that in a moment. So click on home directory. If you were registering a blog here, you could do that. And then this is showing me the URL that I would use in order to find my web page for this person. And we'll come back and see that in a minute. And then it asks home directory or other URL. We're going to use the home directory. So you could host your web page off the U of M web server, but I doubt many of you have a web server that you would want to, do this on. You might as well do it on the university's web server. So I'll say yes, home directory, and that's basically it. We go ahead and save this now. And now when I type in McBride, it shows not only myself, but also Megan McBride. Of course, she doesn't have a website set up just yet. So when I go to the view website, there's really nothing to see there because nothing has been set up for her website. It comes up, it just says index of tilde and then her unique name. So right now we have nothing set up in this website location, but that's what we'll take care of next. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is, and I will set up a link for this on Blackboard as well, I don't have it there yet, but I will in a moment, is to go to something called the VPN. So the URL for this is vpn.umflint.edu. Again, it's VPN, that stands for Virtual Private Network, .umflint.edu. And basically what this does is that it's a web page that once you've logged in, it will allow you to have access to your H drive, your home drive, that you would normally have available to you on campus anytime you log into a computer as a mapped drive like your C drive. When you're off campus, one of the ways in which you can access that same H drive is using the VPN. So I need to get to the H drive. And then once I get to the H drive, I'm looking for a folder called Homepage. Now, it's very important that if you do not have a homepage listed here, that you contact ITS and tell them that you do not have a homepage directory and you have a web page assignment in CSC 101 that's requiring you to publish a web page. And then they can set this up for you. You cannot create it for yourself. It won't work even if you do create the actual web or you create the actual directory. It will not have the appropriate permissions in order to be published on the web server. So again, if you don't have a web page directory, you need to go to ITS and get them to set one up for you, explaining to them that you have an assignment that requires you to publish a web page. So I'm going to go to the homepage directory, and right now it's empty. So what I want to do is I want to upload the files that are necessary for me to publish the web page that I've been working with. And basically there are just a few files. The first one, of course, is index.html. The second one is going to be the image of the apple. The third one will be the image of the grapes. Now when you do the assignment number 6, you'll also have an image of a pear that you'll be uploading. And then I'm also going to upload the background image. So now I have all of the resources for the index.html file as it renders a page. It needs the apple picture, or the JPEG, the grapes JPEG, and I also need the background image GIF file. Those are the files that are necessary for me to render the web page. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this, and it's done. And that's it. So I've already published it. We just need to check it to see that that's actually what's happened. So I'm going to go back to the web page gallery, again typing in McBride, in this case looking for, oops, not in the right spot. Okay, and there's Megan McBride. I click on View Website, and there is the web page published. Again, this URL now can be shared literally with anybody throughout the world, and it will come to this specific web page for anybody that needs this information. Of course, it's rather basic information, but it's the idea, the concepts behind it that are important. So again, the URL is the link throughout the world then to this particular web page on this particular server. So I hope that helps you understand how to do the publishing. Again, it's a little bit involved, so if you have issues, you have problems, email me. If we can't work it out through email, then we'll work it out through either a virtual session online, or we can also meet in my office in order to talk about problems that you're having. You need to work on this early so that you can work out the problems before May 31st, which is the deadline that this needs to be published by. Thank you.